Lakers 7-2 on the season. Another extremely impressive win against the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to get to some things that from that game that the Lakers can actually take moving forward. Talk about the 5-game road trip that will be the start of against this Atlanta Hawks team later in the video. But first, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. No Trae Young. Trae Young is hurt. He's sidelined for a few weeks with an injury. So obviously the star of their team. He's the face of the franchise. He's been kind of talked about. Possible trade candidate. Does he want out of Atlanta? There's been a lot kind of there to see if he's going to still, because they've kind of been a perennial playoff team, but just never really been able to crack that. The Hawks haven't really put the roster around Trae Young to really go far in the Eastern Conference playoffs, which if you're a Hawks fan, it's probably frustrating because the Eastern Conference isn't lethal, especially this year. You'd think would be a real opportunity having a star in Trae Young, but they just don't look like it at this moment. I'll go over the roster in a second. First, let's go for the injury report. On the Lakers side of things, Maxi Kleber has been upgraded to questionable for the game. So first look at him potentially this season for the Lakers. Gabe Vincent's out, Adu Thero's out, LeBron is out, and Austin Reeves is out as well. He'll be missing the game again, just like he missed the game against the San Antonio Spurs. For them, they played against the Raptors last night. So the benefit of playing a back-to-back is they do get to release the injury report right before game time. The really only add to it is Luke Kennard, the real question mark. He did not play against Toronto. Be curious to see if that was kind of them being preventative, holding him out for this game against the Lakers. But we'll see as game time approaches. He's a nice wing player, can hit some threes. Really they kind of need him for an offense that's lacking Trae Young. They need some scoring out there. So we'll see if he is going tonight. All right, looking at the Hawks specifically, very middling team. They're 4-5 on the year. They're the 17th best offense in the league or the 16th best defense. So very middling, as their record would show, 4-5 on the year. The Lakers make about 10 threes a game. The Hawks do make about 11 threes per game. So they kind of live and die by the three ball. That's been struggling again without Luke Kennard a little bit, as well as Trae Young, obviously, who is their star scorer, but who will be playing in this one tonight. So Jalen Johnson has really been the guy that's been the go-to, and he has kind of elevated into becoming a star in this league with Trae Young out, averaging about 21 points per game as well as 9 rebounds per game, which is really impressive for him. Porzingis, who's kind of bounced around the league, former New York Knick, kind of been everywhere. He averages about 18 points a game as well as 6 rebounds per game. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was kind of the big acquisition. He came over from – the Lakers are very familiar with him. It came over from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's averaging about 17 points per game. So he's really kind of broke out this year, and it makes sense. The Lakers, having played him so much, you always kind of saw the talent there. He was just kind of buried on the depth chart. The Timberwolves have a lot of wing guys, a lot of wing defenders and scorers, so he was kind of buried on the depth chart. But Atlanta really desperately needed this and paid for him, and he's been a good signing so far. So that's been kind of a nice add for them. Again, he's averaging about 17 points a game. Onyeka Okongwu averaging about 14, and then the former top overall pick, drafted very high a couple years ago, Versace, is averaging about 11 points per game. He's been interesting. He hasn't been like the top pick that you would have hoped. Now, that draft was remember, there was a lot of UMP players that got taken at the top of the class. That class hasn't really worked out so far at the top. Now, he hasn't been bad. He's been a serviceable player, and he's won some player of the months, has been really good defensively at times, but hasn't really become that scorer that the Hawks were hoping when they got a guy that they thought was kind of going to be the franchise player along with Trae Young. He hasn't really ascended to that yet. We'll see. He's obviously very young. When he came out, he was very young and very skinny. Kind of tried to put on some weight for him. Kind of a little bit of the Wemby issue. They wanted him to get a little bigger to kind of hold up in the NBA more. But again, he's young. But we'll Lakers get a look at him in this one. Dyson Daniels coming off the bench, averaging about 10 points a game. Then kind of a lot of guys. You got Keaton Wallace, Mo Gay comes off the bench. So this team, the Lakers should win this game. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. The Hawks are depleted. No Trae Young, possibly no Luke Kennard. Very middling team. If the Lakers play their game, they're 3.5-point favorites in this one. The line has stayed steady at that. It opened as 3.5-point favorites for the Lakers, has stayed that way. The total, for all my gamblers out there, the total opened at 231.5. Has been bet down to 230.5. So that kind of goes with not a super high over under, kind of again goes with the fact that they're the 16th ranked offense in the National Basketball Association. But so hoping for a win there. Looking at the defensive adjustments, though, and I'm curious how they kind of do this going forward. DeAndre Ayton's been fantastic, and we got to give DeAndre Ayton some serious love because he, after a rough night one against the Golden State Warriors, has really come on and played some, like really good bigs. Like Wemby was a game you're like, okay, this is it. This is kind of a litmus test for DeAndre Ayton. How is he going to respond when you're playing a guy who had been fantastic up until that point? He had kind of a clunker the game before, scoring 9 points against the Suns. But, I mean, the Lakers really holding him. He didn't get, like, the defensive game plan of not even letting him catch the ball, constantly switching guys onto him, making him catch it from way out and have to kind of work his way to the basket. Because if he gets it down low, he's so tall, it's like, what are you going to do? And your team's going to get in foul trouble. It was just very impressive from JJ Redick and the coaching staff of, like, that's the kind of stuff that makes a great coach, is you're seeing the nuances of how do you defend great players, because average coaches just hope that their guys show up and can make some slight tweaks and just score more than the other team. The way the Lakers, without Austin Reeves, without LeBron James, you're going, and especially throughout that game, you're kind of watching it. I don't know how everyone else felt. It kind of felt like the Lakers were going to lose the game. And I listened to Allen post-game, and he kind of said the same thing. They were a little sluggish, getting down 12 there at the end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth. It just felt like, hey, maybe this wasn't their night. They didn't have enough scorers out there, and it really did feel like the supporting cast, they only had one guy in Luka who could kind of initiate the offense and kind of get into the ball action. Whereas that's why not having Reeves and LeBron was such a big deal. You didn't have another guy to really initiate the offense. There was a lot of guys on the floor that just kind of need guys to set them up versus them creating their own offense. But the Lakers kind of held in tough. Those non-Luka minutes, the guys battled, and then they went down the stretch and were just big performers. I think it's just, we're starting to see with JJ Redick and his coaching staff, they're making adjustments. They're making life tough on a great player, a guy who the first 5 games of the season was the MVP frontrunner and still is toward the top of the list. It was just cool seeing something that JJ Redick did for the coaching staff really directly affect the game. And if he doesn't do that, they don't win. And the way they kind of shut him down and made him look frustrated, Wemby looked frustrated all night. And the amazing play by Rui Hachimura, getting the charge there. I mean, that was just like, it was very team basketball. And I think that's kind of the takeaway so far this season, is that they fight. And that kind of sounds like understated, but a lot of times, and especially in the NBA, you'll see some nights guys just like, all right, you can tell they don't have it, and they get down 15 and they're kind of just not going to claw their way back. What we saw against Portland, completely shorthanded, not having any of your big three, them get down 13 points early, 10.5-point dogs in the game, come back and win that one. Spurs up 12 late in the third quarter, early fourth, thinking, maybe this one isn't going to go their way. They come back and win. So they're just gritty and they're not going away. And it's cool that JJ Redick has really inspired this team. No matter who's out there on the floor, they're playing hard and they're playing well. Look at the 5-game road trip. So Lakers going out on the road. Now Lakers have a perfect road record. So exciting to see. We'll see if they can continue it against the Hawks. The 5 teams they will play, as I mentioned, Atlanta tonight. You got the Hornets, big matchup against the Thunder. That's going to be really fun. Possibly 1 and 2 seeds in the Western Conference meeting up there in Oklahoma City. Then the Pelicans, and then the Bucks. You would think the Lakers would be favored in 4 of those 5 games, every game except the Thunder. The Lakers just building, and it's just not to be like two, roses and everything's fantastic. It's exciting right now because I think what people are kind of giddy about the Lakers is in years past, the Lakers lost games like that. They lost the Portland on the second night of the back-to-back after Miami was kind of a scheduled loss. They lost it in years past. And the Spurs not having your guys was kind of a built-in excuse. It's just the Lakers are winning games that they shouldn't win, and it's going to help them down the long run where they're fighting for playoff positioning and they're not having to play all their guys, especially a 41-year-old LeBron James down the stretch who's already dealing with a sciatica and hasn't played this year. And look at who you've beaten. You've beaten Memphis. You've beaten the Spurs. You've beaten Minnesota twice. Like, these are Western Conference foes you're going to need tiebreakers against. Obviously, they're going to see these teams more later in the season, so plenty of time for those teams to kind of get some get back. But really early good returns on what we've seen from the Lakers so far. Hopefully they can take advantage on a road trip where, again, I think they're favored in 4 or 5 games. That Milwaukee game, we'll see. Milwaukee's been playing better basketball than a lot of people thought. But Especially if the way they guarded Wemby, that's they're going to have to guard Giannis, because you let Giannis get the ball in the lane, it's over. So, but that'll be for next week when we get to a preview for that. I appreciate everybody for listening. Hopefully Lakers get a W tonight. Alan will get you guys on the post-game show after, be back for his show in the mornings on Monday, and I will have a preview for the next game coming up against the Hornets. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Have a good one. Have a good weekend, and go Lakers.